Squirrel White lands on Bruce Feldman's 101
Mm-hmm.
Freaks list, and he landed an NIL deal with Weigels. That's a pretty big one. And Nico's shown up on my Facebook feed shopping at Walmart, but still, Weigels is pretty big, and he's not going to get that deal, I don't think, without the coaches saying that he's a good dude. He's going to stay out of trouble. So all of that being said, expectations for him have gone through the roof. What does that mean for Tennessee? What does that mean for this season? What does that mean for Squirrel White?
I think Squirrel White's going to have a huge year. If memory serves, he caught 9 passes, 108 yards, and a touchdown against Clemson. Although some people don't count the Clemson game. so, but I think Squirrel. The one thing I noticed about him right off the bat at practice at Tennessee, none of the defensive backs could guard him. Now, having said that, the defensive backs may not have been very good. But when I watched them try to deal with him in press coverage, it was a mismatch against anybody. Nobody could deal with the guy. He was so quick. Then if you put him in the slot where you can't play bump and run coverage on him because he's off the line of scrimmage, he's hard to guard. So what I think Tennessee will do with him, it'll be two things, I think. They'll either throw the deep ball, the 40, 50-yard, 60-yard pass to him, or they'll throw a quick screen and see if he can break tackles at the line of scrimmage. I think he's a 60-catch guy. I think he's going to have a big year. There was a part of me that thought he might average 18 yards a catch, and then I thought, well, all these little bubble screens and underneath passes they throw, it might impact his yards per catch. But I think he's going to have a big year, and I think there are a lot of schools, particularly in Alabama, that regret not really going after him.
Well, and he said that he and Joe Milton are like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. I don't know that I'd go that far, but I'm kind of a Ron Harper, and Caleb is Michael Jordan. So I'm going to dish right now. Did you like that? I'm going to dish to our Jordan right here. Caleb, take over. I just had to get that funny.
Okay, if you actually studied those 95, 96 Bull teams, Scottie Pippen did the dishing to Michael Jordan. Ron Harper really didn't rack up that many assists. He was just a defensive specialist at point guard.
Hey, I'll be Pippen. I got long arms. I got no problem with that.
Dave, so I've been eating a little crow all summer because I was so certain that Dante Thornton would take that slot receiver job when he arrived as a transfer, and it seemed like Squirrel White never let it go. With Ramel Keyton, with what I think about Bru McCoy, and with Squirrel White, I mean, we've heard they want to go 4 wide a lot, but is there room for Dante Thornton at this point to supplant one of those other receivers?
If they go
say Jimmy, sorry.
I like the idea of going 4 wide because I think they have the ability to do that. Now, if you go 4 wide, you're taking probably at least one tight end off the field, and I think Tennessee's pretty good at tight end. So that to me suggests to me they've got a lot of options to create mismatches, whether they go with 2 tight ends or 4 wideouts. I think it's going to be hard to keep Thornton off the field as the season progresses because, Caleb, the one thing I think – here's what you got to do in this offense. Not only is the quarterback reading the defense, but the receivers have to as well. And I think Squirrel White, having 1 year in the system, is probably better at that right now than Thornton. But I think Thornton's going to have a huge impact. He may be a guy – like I think Squirrel can catch 60. Thornton may catch 35, but he might also average 22 yards a catch and have 10 touchdowns. So I think he is going to be very productive, in particular as he learns to read defenses and get on the same page with Milton.
We still need Jacob Warren to make a lot of plays because of all reports. Jacob Warren is brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. He has said, too, that he feels like he can line out wide. So I don't think he's going to get left at all in the dust of a 4 wide receiver set. But, when I look at Tennessee's receivers and the depth and the talent, I'm trying to think, Jimmy, headed into the preseason, if you had to go back, I mean, when is the last time Tennessee has had this much depth and talent at wide receiver?
That's a hard one. I know that
I kind of threw that at you off the top of your head. Sorry about that.
Well, a few years ago, they had some great ones. I think I'm right about this. I think they had Justin Hunter, Derrick Rogers, and Cordell Patterson.
Cordell and Derek was
2012. He'd been kicked off the team already. I
Yeah,
was trying to
during
remember
the-
that. Hunter was around. That's a pretty good combination right there. If you go back to the Manning years, I don't know that they were any more talented. We had Marcus Nash and Joey Kent and Cedric Wilson. Now that's pretty darn good, but I don't know that they're more talented than this group. And so and here's the thing too. Tennessee, I think they have some other pretty good receivers behind the four that we mentioned. It's just that Tennessee doesn't play more than four. So those guys may not have an opportunity to show their skills this season. But yeah, I think it's one of the most talented groups they've had. It's one of the most talented groups in the SEC as well. There are not many teams in the SEC that can claim a receiver room like Tennessee's.
Jimmy, you brought up the 90s with the all-time leading receiver in career yards in Joey Kent, but I'm going to do a hot take here. What do you think of maybe Jalen Hyatt as the best receiver to ever wear number 11 and not Joey Kent?
Hyatt had a better season than Kent. Kent had the better career. So I'm going to go with Kent because of his career. Hyatt wasn't very good the year before. Remember, he got benched after 4 games because he couldn't catch pass. Kept dropping passes. So I'm going to go with Joey Kent career, but Hyatt for the single season.
So with these group of receivers, who has the most yards, the most catches? How do you see the production breaking down this year at the end of the year?
I think Bru McCoy had the most catches and yards. I think Squirrel White will be in that 60 catch range. I think Thornton may end up leading the team in yards per catch. So I could see them breaking down that way. And then Ramel Keyton, who's going to be consistent, he's going to be in there with nice numbers. And he's a guy I shouldn't forget, although I don't think he's as talented as those other guys. So that's how I see the breakdown at wide receiver.
Interesting. And Jacob Warren with 1,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, right?
For his career, yes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's still pretty impressive for a career, honestly.
It is, yeah.
As a tight end, we're rooting for him at Off the Hook Sports for sure.